TFA fam, welcome into the TFA Prop Talk Wildcard Edition. It is the NFL playoffs. The money doesn't stop being made. Tom and I are coming to you for another edition of the Prop Talk. Man, we've been having a lot of fun with it. You guys have been giving us good feedback, so we're gonna keep this train rolling. It is Cody coming at you. You can find me on Twitter at CKutzerFF, along with the guy, Mr. 3-3 or Mr. 0-3, and there is no in between, and that is Tom Corson at Dynasty Infidel. Before we jump into it, a couple housekeeping notes. One, we are going to be giving away one of the signed jerseys live next week on this show. So if you want to win either the Allen Robinson or the Keenan Allen signed jersey, come in, join us next week. You have to be live watching. We've tried to give this away, with the other shows. They have gone unclaimed the entire time, so we're going to do it live. Join us. We're going to ask a question. Still don't know what that is. As soon as we ask it, whoever answers it first gets the jersey. That's how we're going to do it. Just giving out free jerseys, autographed.
Yeah, we've been giving out free money all season, so why not give out some jerseys? You know what I mean? I know. I still can't believe that no one has claimed the jerseys. It's absolutely just – I feel like going on a Johnny Cochran just like tirade right now, but I'm not going to. Keep in mind, I believe next week we're also going to be on Friday because we're going to have Saturday and Sunday games. So a little bit different this week going Friday, but we got to get all our props on. And to tell you the truth, I'm really glad we're doing it tonight and not missing out on that Saturday slate.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as I was surprised they had all these props out as soon as they did. I mean, I think, Tom, you hit me up like Tuesday or Wednesday and told me that some were coming out already. So as long as it's the same thing next week, we're going to do the same thing, for next week as well. Go live on Friday. The last thing I want to mention before we jump in, the TFA NFL Playoff Challenge. We're going to be giving away another autographed jersey. This one, a Miles Sanders autographed jersey for whoever wins the playoff challenge. If you want to jump in, I will put the email in the description, but it is the Fantasy Authority and the number 1 at gmail.com. Just shoot us an email, say you want in, we'll get you in. And like I said, whoever wins that gets an autographed Miles Sanders jersey. I think we only have we've gotten a couple since our last recordings. I think we're up to like 14 or 15 people now, but still, you have to beat 14 other people, and you get a free autographed Miles Sanders jersey. Not too shabby.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Tom, what's up, man? I'll let you talk here for a second, and then we'll jump in.
I don't really have anything. I'm just really excited. I've been pacing around the damn basement like a freaking tiger, waiting to go, but we had to push things back due to some extenuating circumstances and whatnot. But yeah, I'm just excited to get going. And Cody, you have been doing great leading us off. So you ready to get to the first prop?
Let's do it, man. I will kick things off then. This has seemed to be going well, like you mentioned. I'm going to start with J.K. Dobbins over 61.5 rushing yards. He's had at least 62. There's only been one game since week 11 where he hasn't had 62 rushing yards. Baltimore ranks 8th in adjusted line yards. The Titans are giving up the 12th most rushing yards to running backs on the year. They've given up the 7th most rushing yards to running backs over the last 3 weeks. They've given up the 9th most yards of runs of 20-plus yards. Dobbins is actually tied with Alvin Kamara and Melvin Gordon with the 5th most runs of 15-plus yards, which is pretty wild considering that everyone that he's grouped with. So between Kamara, Gordon, and all the guys ahead of him, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, a couple other guys in there, he only has 134 carries on the year, and the next closest is Kamara with 187. So Dobbins could easily rip off a couple of yards. The only thing that is a little worrisome and concerning is the fact that he's just not getting a ton of volume, but he can still get there on the 13 to 15 carries. This game looks like it's going to be a shootout. The Ravens shouldn't be playing from behind like they did last year in the playoff matchup. So Dobbins over 61.5 rushing yards.
I like that, and that was one of the first things we talked about when I sent you like the props. So I'm sorry, my wife is doing some damn dishes right now. And you can probably hear some things. I'm trying to get her to stop, but apparently she doesn't feel like doing it. It's a little distracting, but whatever.
Hey, peace and serenity. It sounds like we're in a nice little like creek right now, just hanging out in the creek.
That's fine. This is good. I don't want to be in a creek anymore. I just want to not want to punch somebody in the face, but this is perfectly fine. This is how we're going to do the wild card round. So this is fine. But Dobbins is one of the first guys we talked about when I sent you everything, and you were like, "Oh my God, Dobbins 60." I'm on it, and I had actually already placed a bet when you had said that. I'd be like, "Okay, I'll pick a different guy." So everything Cody just said, I'm echoing. Sometimes he has really, really horrible prop choices when he picks tight ends. This is not one of those cases. So J.K. Dobbins, I'm all over it. So I'm actually going to stick in the same game, and I'm going to go with the running back on the other side of the ball, who did us all a very good favor last week and decided to go over 2,000 yards, and he just destroyed his 118.5 and made it look silly. This week, Derrick Henry sitting at 120.5. Big man just absolutely crushed it, so I'm going to go back to the well. And the fact that he's torched the Ravens the last 2 times he's played them made it a lot easier to just say, okay, screw it, 120.5 seems like a big number. But when you consider that he had 195 rushing yards against him last year in the playoffs, and earlier this season he had 133, it makes it a little bit easier to take. So this game is going to be fun because of the running offenses on both sides. We have Lamar, we have Dobbins, and we have Derrick Henry. I think they're all going to just kind of like go off. It is the second highest over-under of the week, sitting at 51 currently. This is the highest over-under of the week, sitting at 54. The second highest over-under is the Buffalo game.
Right.
But yeah, so I love Derrick Henry. He's had more than 120 yards 5 of his last 7 games. He's been destroying Baltimore until they come up with the answer. I don't see a reason why they're not going to just play smash ball with Derrick Henry and give him 27, 28 carries. And by that, there's no reason he's not going to get there. So another thing, if you're in a state that can bet his fantasy points are 22.5, which that's assuming a touchdown or so. I'm not sure how much I love the 22.5. I think that's tight. I think you're depending on, at least a touchdown, which when you're talking about Derrick Henry, that's not the worst thing in the world, but it's more touchdown dependent than receiving dependent. So I would go with those rushing yards there, 120.5 for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the safer of the two. Next game, I want to talk about the Steelers game. Deontay Johnson over 63.5 receiving yards. It's 65.5, I believe, on DK, 63.5 on FanDuel. Again, 2 yards. I'm not going to gripe over either of those, but if you can take the lower amount, you definitely should do that. I have kind of been shitting on the Steelers all year long as the homer hater, but I will say that Deontay has led the Steelers in targets and yards. I think only Juju has more catches than he does, but Juju is also getting targeted, minus 3 yards down the field.
I was going to say 6 yards, but you went minus. Okay.
Yeah, minus.
Well done.
And then also Deontay has more double-digit target games than Juju and Claypool combined. So he's going to get fed. It's not going to stop in this game. The Browns have allowed the 9th most yards to wide receivers on the year, and they might be without 3 of their starters in the secondary between Denzel Ward, Kevin Johnson, and Ronnie Harrison. Those guys are all currently on the COVID list. They do have a chance, at least Denzel Ward. I can't remember when Johnson and Harrison got added to the list, but at least Denzel Ward has a chance to come off on Sunday. He's kind of sitting in the same boat as Alvin Kamara, as that'll be the 10th day. So he will be able to come off as long as he clears all the protocols. The only starter who is currently healthy and set to play, Terrence Mitchell, has given up the 12th most receiving yards among cornerbacks. So it doesn't matter who's playing. Deontay's going to get fed. He should have an easy matchup, even if Denzel Ward comes back. Ward hasn't been what he was at Ohio State. To kind of just harp on this a little bit more, the Steelers rank dead last in the NFL in terms of rushing yards per game, and the Browns have quietly given up the 8th fewest rushing yards. So even without Olivier Vernon, the running game, I don't think is going to get back on track during this game. So basically, all this is just a long-winded way to say that Deontay is he's gonna get fed. He's gonna be able to, you know what I mean? Like 63. I was a little surprised at that. I think he's hit this total in 9 of his 16 games. So this will probably come back to bite me in the ass, considering I've just shit on the Steelers all year long. But I feel okay about it. 63.5 yards for Deontay.
Well, so Deontay, I took him, I believe, twice early in the season, and pretty much the only reason I didn't win those bets was because he went out with an injury. He gets the targets and he gets the yards, so I don't necessarily see any issue with it, except the fact that you're a Steelers fan and you're putting the kibosh on him, so that's perfectly fine. I'm going to go over to somebody who you can't put the kibosh on because he's that good, Stephon Diggs. So 90.5 receiving yards, over 7.5 receptions. I got that pretty much as soon as it came out. It was sitting at plus 120 for the 7.5 receptions. It's now at minus 110. So that line is just rolling down. I like the 7.5 more than I like the 90.5. But to tell you the truth, I don't think it matters. If you are on FanDuel, do a same game parlay with those and then some other things that we're going to be talking about later on. Take the 7.5, take the 90.5, and just go. His fantasy points are 21.5. If you can bet that, I would take that as well. I'm going to take every single Stephon Diggs. I will take Stephon Diggs to throw a touchdown if I can find it somewhere. I don't even care. He's had 9 games over 90 yards, 9 games over 7.5 receptions. Last 5 weeks, the Colts are giving up the 5th most yards to opposing wide receivers. You know, it's a stud versus suspect passing defense. So that's like Kai smashed down like with a hatchet on somebody's head. So I think Josh Allen's going to have himself a day as well in this game. I'm really excited to watch this game more than any other game all weekend. And the fact that it leads our slate off and we're going to be starting off with some additional money after we all win our bets makes it even better. So make sure you don't lose it all back. I feel like Vegas basically said, hey, do this one so we can lose everything that, you know, we lose in the Bills game, because that thing's going to be a shootout. It's going to be really fun to watch. That over-under is 51. I was talking about it earlier being the second highest over-under of the week. I like the over in that game as well. Pretty much the only thing I don't like in this game is unders. You know, big players play big in big games. That's what Diggs is. We've seen that before. You know, against New Orleans, whatever. He gets to the playoffs. It's the Bills' first playoff game, basically, since Jim Kelly. It's not really, but you know what I'm saying. But so let's make some early money, and yeah, Diggs, everything you can get your hands on.
He is the player I was most wrong on from the preseason. I think I had him as like a wide receiver 3. I actually said that John Brown was going to outscore him.
So man,
I'm happy to be wrong about that. He is so much fucking fun to watch. He is so good. I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves in terms of, you know, there's a couple people hyping him up as one of, you know, a top 3 receiver in the league, but I'm happy to be wrong about him. He's so much fun to watch.
His deal is, I mean, he's open on every play. My man Robbie Jeffries and I talked about it, you know, on our last Dynasty pod that should be, you know, coming out in a day or two.
It'll come out tonight.
Okay, tonight, yeah. But he's open every single play. The thing that we didn't anticipate was Josh Allen making that leap and Brian Dable and how good he's been. So I get it. You could have shit all over Stephon Diggs and he just shit on you right back, and it's perfectly fine. You take the turd to the chest and you get a shower, and you don't make the same mistake twice, Code.
This turd, I think I'm gonna have to like sleep in for a couple of days. That is a big turd that I have just been soaking in since the beginning of the year.
In it like through the holiday season and everything. Like it's all like matted in your chest hair. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, it's like
it's basically like Vicks Vapor Rub at this point.
it's looking like the turd on Step Brothers that he has to lick in order to be able to go home. But
Oh,
before this gets off the rails, I'm going to hit on my last one.
What just
He's
happened?
someone that I hit on last week as well, but I'm going back to that well, and that is Hollywood Brown over 46.5 receiving yards. Basically, take everything I said about the Titans' run defense and make it worse for their passing defense. The Titans have allowed, I think, like the fourth or fifth most passing yards to wide receivers of the year. They are tied with the Seahawks for allowing the seventh most receiving plays of 20 plus yards. Obviously, we know Marquise Brown is a quick guy. He definitely has that in his arsenal. Since week 12, Marquise has had just 2 games of fewer than 7 targets, which, isn't, when you compare it to somebody like Stephon Diggs, that's not a great benchmark. But for this passing offense, I think 7 is pretty healthy. We were talking about the over-under in this game. There's going to be points scored. I think the Ravens have the highest implied total on the week at like 29. I think it is
Around there.
the Titans are sitting at 25. So should be a lot of fireworks in this game. Should be a lot of fun. Like I said, Marquise Brown. I like Mark Andrews in this game as well. I think he's sitting in like the mid 50s. I want to say for his over under. So Hollywood Brown going back to the well. He should have smashed that line last week, by the way, and he dropped that like 45-yard just dime that Lamar Jackson throws. You don't get too many dimes on the outside from Lamar Jackson, and then he just completely shit the bed. And like I was watching that game just like clenched the entire time, but the line was 40.5, and he ended up with 41. So
it's nice when you get the over by a half yard, because I did it one time, I think, this season. I beat something by a half yard, but I can't even talk about how many losses I've had by less than a yard where it's been like that half yard. Like, fuck you, Vegas. How do you know? I hate you. So it is what it is, but that's pretty good. So I got to give Alito props here. I'm going Jonathan Taylor again because I go Jonathan Taylor pretty much every single week for the last like 6 weeks. And you know what? It's working because he's winning. So we're going back to that well. Jonathan Taylor, 73.5 rushing yards. That is now at minus 150 at DraftKings. It started at minus 112, and it's been bet up that high. On FanDuel, I believe it's at 77.5. I still feel fine with that number. And that I think is at minus 112 or minus 110. He's hit over 73.5 for 6 straight weeks, 77.5 on FanDuel, which I said it's a little tougher, but you know what? I don't necessarily think the 4 yards is going to make much of a difference. The only thing that gives me pause is if Buffalo winds up getting out to a big lead and then we see what happens. So I thought about the total yards, which is sitting at 95.5, but I'm not sure about his receptions because while he's been killing it on the ground, I think the last 4 games he's only had one where he's had 3 or more receptions. That's off the top of my head, so I'm just, don't quote me on it. But I think the rushing yardage is safer. That being said, I feel like him scoring a touchdown is the safest bet out of all of them there. So if I'm taking a bet for Jonathan Taylor, like I can only take one, it's for him to score a touchdown. He's been an absolute beast as far as getting in the end zone. He's got 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Buffalo's given up 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games. I think that's the 6th most or tied for the 6th most. So yeah, I do like the rushing yards. So I'm not trying to talk down the rushing yards. I just feel like him getting in the end zone is a safer bet. So the one thing we can do, which is what we kind of talked about, was if you can do a same game parlay like with FanDuel and you can bet, Jonathan Taylor to get a touchdown, Jonathan Taylor's rushing yards, Stephon Diggs receiving yards, Stephon Diggs receptions. You can do something like that, and I feel like they're all going to hit. That's pretty good. As far as if you're on DraftKings and you have that 73.5 and the minus 150 just is, dissuading you from taking that bet, you can pair that with, Tampa Bay on the money line there, and that gets you to current odds would be plus 112, and that's not a whole lot of added risk as far as Tampa Bay losing to Washington. It's an 8-point spread, so you go from minus 150 to plus 112, and all you need is Tom Brady not to just completely die the day of the game. So that's something that I personally did just to get those odds a little bit up. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor rushing yard 73.5, and for him to get a touchdown, I like all of them.
Yeah, he is at 77.5 on FanDuel. His total yards on FanDuel is at 95.5. Shout out to everyone who's been blowing up the chat. We're gonna jump in and grab your guys' comments here in a second. Just the last couple that I want to run off that I do like that I'm not really gonna talk about. We do have an under. I'm gonna take another under this week. Russell Wilson under 254.5 passing yards. If you just look at basically his track record against the Rams, what that offense has looked like over the back half of the season, I do like that under there. Zach Pascal over 39.5 receiving yards just because of him playing in the slot and Tre'Davious White being on the outside. And then I haven't looked. I don't know which one I'm going to take yet, but I'm going to take something with Corey Davis again, either his receptions or his yards, because the that game just looks to be a shutout, and Baltimore has played better against wide receiver ones. It's kind of been like the wide receiver twos that have popped off, and we've seen some of those games from Corey Davis this year. So, yeah, big shout out to Walito, Jam Bam, and Brian in the chat. We already hit on the 73.5 from – were there any other ones off the top of your head, Tom, that you were potentially interested in this week?
So I was going back and forth with DK Metcalf and almost taking the under because he's going against Jalen Ramsey. I will not take an under. I will not take an under. I will not take an under. The worst part about an under with DK is he can just destroy that 60 yards on one play. But Jalen Ramsey has been so good this year. DK Metcalf in 2 games against him has not come close to that. I think he had 20 or 22 yards and then like 54 or so. I wasn't taking him, so I don't have that written down, but I remember that and just being like, ooh, wow. So I almost was tempted to take Tyler Lockett there, but he's been so up and down where I couldn't do that either. And that game will probably wind up, being like 75 points scored, and we didn't talk a lick about it, and it is what it is. But that game, there's too many variables in there for me, and I like to stack the deck in my favor. I am chaos. I don't like to bet into chaos.
Professor Chaos? You butters?
Fine. Whatever. I have a foil helmet. What of it? This Eagles helmet might as well be made of foil.
Is that actually Chubb's line?
65.5?
Yeah, I guess it is. It is 70.5 on FanDuel, 65.5 on DK. How do you feel about this line for Chubb? That has to be the lowest it's been all year, right?
When he came back, I think it was around 60, and we took it immediately. But it's such a weird week for them. Like, you can't trust anything in that game, Cleveland related, just because of all the COVID stuff that's going on. I mean, you don't know what the coaches should say, we're going to run the ball a lot. But if Pittsburgh gets out to a big lead and they nullify that running game just because of that, then who knows what's going to happen. But he should hit that number. It's just scary because of everything that's going on around the team. And then the fact that Pittsburgh just could start really quickly and they nullify that run game. Again, there's too many X factors in that game for me to put money on it just because of the COVID. I like to kind of just be like, okay, there's not too many outside variables that are going to affect this play. I know who's going to be, on X wide receiver. I know what they do in this circumstance. And, Chubb, I love him. He's fantastic, but I don't know what's going to wind up happening this week.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but that 65.5 is quite enticing. Pascal over 39.5 just touched on that one. I like that one as well, Walito. If you look at Trey White on the outside, I think of I actually have it written down here. So there's been 33 corners that have played 500 plus coverage snaps this season, and Tre'Davious White is tied for the third fewest yards given up to wide receivers. and their slot play is basically the opposite. Their slot is awful. Teron Johnson has given up the most catches and most receiving yards in the slot. He has seen the second most targets, so it's a little bit of a volume game. But Pascal has popped off a little bit. My one worry here is that, like we talked about Jonathan Taylor, I could see them jumping out to a quick lead, and that's why I do like Pascal over 39.5. Are you going to be doing anything with this Tampa Bay game? I just don't know how I feel about it. I think that front seven for Washington can give Tom Brady a lot of fits. Like that defense is good for Washington. Like those lines aren't crazy. Evans did get into limited practice. I think even if he does play, he's going to be more of a decoy, which obviously
he's got lines available on DraftKings.
Yeah, he does. Like 59, I think.
Yeah, 50. I just saw it, and now my brain just stopped working. It's 59.5. So him and AB have the same line. So if you think he's going to be a decoy based off everything that you read, you might want to put some money on that under. I'm not doing that because these guys are just like freak shows as far as how quickly they can come back from injuries after we think they're dead.
Couple of shots won't hurt either.
Yeah, no, I mean that's going to happen. So what you said, their line is very good, their defense is very good, their offense isn't going to score, very much as far as Washington goes. I actually, as soon as it came out, I put money down on Tampa Bay minus the 8, which I normally don't do, especially after Chase Young decides to start calling Tom Brady out. I mean, bruh, what is you doing, honey? What is you doing? And then somebody asked Brady about it, and he's just got like this shit-eating smirk on his face, like, that's fine. So Brady might throw for 480 yards tomorrow just out of spite. So
all to Scotty Miller.
All to Scotty Miller? Yeah, Scotty Miller can jump in a lake and have it freeze over on his body.
Do you like either of these? Do either of these lines entice you with Godwin or AB?
Honestly, I'm not betting any props on this game until I know what happens earlier in the game, and then we have a better feel for what is going to happen with Evans. I like the AB over. I like both the overs if Evans is out, like Walito said. But if Evans is in, then it just kind of muddies the water for everything. Like, we don't know how involved he's going to be. If he is a decoy, then he's a decoy, but he might not be. He could go out there and get 9 targets like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. I do like AB because like I said, I really think that this pass rush is going to give Brady some fits, and that is the way that you get to Brady is by pressuring him. And AB has the lowest ADOT out of all of these receivers. They seem to want to use him on those quick screens. They hit him a couple of times for those on the last game. So I do like AB. Maybe I'll look and see what his receiving numbers are. I think that's the way that I would.
Yeah, so I was just thinking the same exact thing. Like, I guess I was inside of your brain. His receptions on DraftKings are 5.5, and it's at plus 130.
Okay, thank you. I will be taking that as soon as we're done. I do like the receptions there because, like I said,
why
I think
wait, Cody? Why wait?
Yeah, we're gonna have to hurry this up.
And
in this also in this game, Walito is saying McKissick over 31.5 and Logan Thomas over 38.5. I like McKissick out of that group.
Yeah, is McLaurin going to be out? I think he's going to play.
I thought he was fine.
Yeah, me too. So I'm assuming I'm assuming McLaurin is going to play. The wrench with everything is Alex Smith and his pirate leg that he's got going on.
God.
I mean, if you have that, was it Thursday? Henneke got most of the snaps with the first team, so I don't know what's going on with that squad. So, like I said, with that game in particular, I'm taking a wait-and-see approach as far as, what we know as far as inactives and more along those lines there.
Cooper Kupp 51.5.
If I was going to take a receiver for the Rams, it would be Cooper Kupp over that 51.5.
I don't really like that game either, honestly.
We didn't really talk about it at all because we're both on the same page there. That's why I did I hedge? I feel like I hedged.
Look at this. Getting just the tip.
Oh.
Just
see how it feels?
Just the tip. I wonder if that. How much do you think that $5 is? Like $1 for every inch?
Oh, you have to go with no.
$2.
You're talking you're talking euro to dollar conversion.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a Bitcoin.
We might even go to dinars where it's 120,000 equal $1 or something. I don't know. So Jam Bam, I don't mind Woods. I just feel like Kupp is safer because we don't know. We don't know what the hell that offense is going to look like with Goff coming off of that injury.
Yeah, and even it's not like he was playing. It's not like he was playing well even before that. Now if you remember back to hashtag draft season, hashtag hand size, everyone was talking about Jared Goff and he's not going to be able to play in the cold because his hands were too small, and now he's playing with 4 fucking fingers, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, one thing I mentioned earlier was I like to mitigate risk by eliminating games with certain factors. Like with your receivers for the Rams, you don't know what Goff is going to look like. You don't know what the offense is going to look like. If Thumb Magoo over there can't throw the ball, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Thumb Magoo. Under Kev. There's just not a lot that I like in that game.
Yeah, who said something about Lockett? Oh yeah, so maybe Lockett if anything on that Seattle game. That's kind of where I was leaning if I was going to take anything, but I'm not
because of the matchup.
I don't feel great about any of it, and it's not like the Rams have been horrible against number 2 wide receivers either, so you have to take that into account. The Rams defense is very good, so we'll see what goes on there, but I'm probably going to stay all the way.
You're the Rojo guy, right?
No, that would be Robbie.
56.5.
Mayhaps. However, I think Tom Brady will wind up throwing out of spite again, just to hey Chase, you shouldn't have talked shit, kind of thing.
And even if they are up, like I said, that front seven for Washington is legit. They are really fucking good. So even if they're up,
the way to negate that, as far as Tom Brady, when we've seen him actually negate really good lines, is those quick passes where they can't do anything about it. It's not the run game necessarily. Screen games, you might want to look at the running back receiving yards, but they haven't really been doing a whole lot of that. So again, that's why I like that AB over 5.5 receptions, probably the most as far as props in that game.
Bravo.
That's true.
Bravo.
That's true.
Well, Lito, fuck off, first of all. Second, Boyd was a top 12. He was a wide receiver 1 up until the week that Burrow went out. Mixon hasn't played since week 5, so 3, fuck off.
Of 2018.
And lastly, if Herndon gets a quarterback, I will hype up.
Titanic is flooding. Jesus Christ. I gotta get a life preserver. Hold on.
And you better hope that Herndon doesn't get a better, if we're looking at Fields coming to the Jets,
Cody,
I will hype up Herndon again.
Please don't.
Also, Austin Hooper over 33.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I think they play from behind. And the Steelers have just been decimated by injury, especially at the linebacker position. So got Big T in the house joining us as well. I think you have anything else? I think that's gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I'm just excited for the games. If I see anything else, I'll put it out on Twitter. We're not going to do another show this week just because, the time hack and everything. But if next week we do a show on Friday and more props come out and we see it, then possibly we'll do 2 shows. We're not really sure how this is going to wind up going as far as like them releasing the props. But we knew we wanted to do at least one on Friday. Originally, we said, okay, they might not have everything out in time.
Yeah.
So we would do 2 shows, but it looks like they're doing pretty good with the Saturday and Sunday props. So we'll see. But if we have to do another show tomorrow, we have no lives because of the quarantining and whatnot. So we are all good.
Yes. Big T, real quick, not going to go over everything we said, but my picks were J.K. Dobbins over 61.5 rushing yards, Deontay Johnson over 63.5 receiving yards, Marquise Brown over 46.5 receiving yards, Russell Wilson under his passing yards, Zach Pascal over his receiving yards. And I will say, watch out. I didn't see any lines for him yet, but Eric Ebron, I'm assuming he's going to be in that same territory, like that 33 to 35 as Austin Hooper is. So I'll look at that one too, because Cleveland has been one of the worst teams all year long against the tight end. So, and who were your Toms? You had JT over 73.5.
I had Derrick Henry over 120.5 rushing yards, Stephon Diggs shooting the moon and getting every single thing that he's available for, 90.5 receiving, 7.5 receptions, his fantasy points. I actually like him to score a touchdown too. Jonathan Taylor over 73.5 rushing yards, and for him to score a touchdown as well. So as far as picks go for the weekend, for the games, I think he might have meant there. So,
well, either way, it's a nice recap. So, yeah. Walito, again, fuck off. All right. So,
but anyway,
right now,
for the actual games, that Indy Buffalo game has me. I don't know what to think. I almost want to take Indy, but I don't have that. I'm taking Indy plus the 6.5. I'll tell you that. I don't know if they can win that game outright because Buffalo is just really good and they're playing well right now. But so I would say Buffalo. I would take Seattle because of thumbs Magoo. You need 5 fingers to throw a ball. And that last game, it's Tampa. I don't think if you take Washington, then I don't know who you are.
Would you take that? Are you taking that -8?
I did. I took that -8. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did say that.
But again, so with any of these, if you like any of these bets and you want to get better odds, throw that money line on there. I think it's -375, but that parlay still does it bumps you up a little bit. So that's worth doing something. Something that sucks with DraftKings is I can't parlay Jonathan Taylor and Stephon Diggs, and it hurts my heart because that's all I want to do. Just like all of it, just like here.
Punt return, kick return, rushing touchdown,
passing touchdown. Like will Stephon Diggs throw his helmet after he eats like chunky soup? Yes, plus 10,000.
Mortgage. Ravens Titans with Ravens -3.5.
Dude, I think the Titans are going to win that game.
And
that's the Ravens have been playing really well. I don't know. I think the Titans are going to wind up winning that game. And you can tell me that the Ravens are going to win that game, and I'm not. It's more like a gut feeling there. I'm not putting money on that game as far as the spread goes because they're too similar, and who knows what's going to happen. But I understand it's a revenge game from last year, and Lamar is playing better. But I just feel like the Titans they're going.
What do you think about the total at 54.5?
I like that over.
So do I. That's where I don't know what all Fantasy Labs takes into consideration as far as their where they get all their information from, but 65% of the money is coming on the over currently.
Yeah. So if you're a little on the fence there, one thing you can do is they have those 10-point teasers. So you do a 10-point teaser for that Tennessee game, that Buffalo game, bet down that over. You could get Tampa +2, make it a 3-team. I'm not sure what the odds are, but something to think about if you're on the fence about it. It should be easy money.
Shout out to Matt Nagy for joining us here live on the show, coming in with the confidence in his team. My team is getting whooped. I'm sorry, but I have to agree with you, Matt Nagy, and I would appreciate if you could just get Allen Robinson out of this game healthy. Just pull him after the first half, give him a pat on the back, say thank you for everything, and send him off to a good team.
I agree, and do one other solid for everyone else. Remember when Tariq Cohen comes back that David Montgomery had the second most routes run against running backs and was actually good at football. So just keep doing that, okay?
Let's go. And then last one, what do you think about Browns Steelers? That line has moved to -6 for Pittsburgh.
Throw that one in the teaser. I get the 10-team or the 10-point teaser, I guess. I'd probably take Pittsburgh there again because of the COVID issues, and they have that wonderful special teams coach stepping in as the head coach. So
that fucking Jagaloon. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But guys, we appreciate it. We'll be back next week again. If you want your chance to win one of the autographed jerseys we're going to be giving away, join us live. We'll ask a question at the beginning of the show, so make sure that you tune in and you're watching as soon as we get started. We'll bullshit for a little bit to let some more of you get in. We'll ask a question. Whoever answers it is going to get that autographed jersey. So we'll be giving that away again live next week. Hopefully we'll be doing that Friday night. And the fantasy challenge for the NFL playoffs, doing that through NFL.com. If you want in, shoot us an email, thefantasyauthority1@gmail.com. All of the rules and everything will be over there on the site to get you all set up. And the winner of that will be getting an autographed Miles Sanders jersey. So like I said, right now, I think we only have like 14, 15 people in there. Obviously, you have to have your lineup in by Saturday. So make sure if you're interested, jump in, send us the email now so we can get you the invite before the game starts. So for Tom, for myself, for TFA, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you all soon. Best of luck to everybody, and whether you're playing DFS, props, if you're in one of these playoff challenges, if one of your teams is in the playoffs. Good luck to you, Tom. I don't think many of those things apply to you, but good luck to everybody else. We'll see all you guys soon. Bye.